I'm Briony Horgan, a professor of planetary science at Purdue University. Artemis 2 is the second launch in NASA's Artemis program to send humans back to the moon. Artemis 2 will be the first time humans have gone near the moon since the 1970s, which is really exciting. For this mission, they'll be orbiting the moon and then coming back to Earth. And that's really important because it'll demonstrate that the Space Launch System and the Orion spacecraft they'll be traveling in are safe and reliable and can get them to the moon for future landings. Artemis 2 will be launching perhaps as early as February 6th. However, that's going to depend on how ready the crew and the spacecraft and everything is. We'll find out more for sure in the next week or two after they do a wet dress rehearsal, but it could launch as late as April, depending on how things go. Artemis 2 isn't yet landing on the moon. It's really just the first step in getting us there. It's like going back to Apollo 8 when Jim Lovell and his crew orbited the moon and came back to Earth. Artemis 2 is the same kind of deal here. But it is leading up to the next mission, Artemis 3, which is planned to send astronauts to the surface of the moon. Artemis 2 is significant because it's the first time we're sending humans anywhere near the moon since 1972 when Apollo 17 left the moon. It's really exciting. This crew is going to be in orbit around the moon and seeing with their eyes the surface of the moon and the far side of the moon for the first time since the 1970s. It's also exciting because it's a huge technological achievement, the huge new rocket and the spacecraft that they're riding in. And they're also going to be the fastest moving humans that have ever existed. On re-entry, when they come back into the Earth's atmosphere, we expect them to be going about 25,000 miles per hour. We're so excited that one of our past students, Marie Henderson, PhD 2021, is on the science operations team for Artemis 2 and 3. On Artemis 2, she is the Deputy Lunar Science Lead, which means that she's in charge of telling the astronauts what data they need to take from the moon once they're in orbit. So deciding what kinds of imaging systems they'll have on board, what targets they're going to image, all kinds of things like that. It's really exciting. For Artemis 3, Marie will be a science officer, which is the person in the back room and on the flight team, helping to decide what exactly the astronauts do on the surface of the moon. Marie's background coming from our Earth Atmospheric and Planetary Sciences department. She worked on lunar volcanoes and mineralogy for her PhD, using remote sensing data from satellites in orbit. And she also spent a lot of her spare time working on the Curiosity Mars rover, which gave her a lot of experience with surface operations and with using cameras and imaging. And so both of those experiences have contributed to putting her on the path to success working at NASA on Artemis 2 and 3.